There is a place like no place on earth, a land full of wonder, mystery, and danger. Some say, to survive it, you need to be as mad as a hatter. You didn't have to walk for very long. The wide, winding path had led you to a little clearing, mist clearing away through the cold air. A circle of tangled trees created a sort of gate around the clearing, closing around a table. There were lines of mismatched chairs, some tall and some small and in different colors, with a long armchair sitting slightly crooked at the head of the table. The long table was covered in a patched-up purple cloth. An array of mismatched tea sets lined all across it. Green striped saucers and pink plates in all kinds of cups. Tall, small, cracked, perfect, some plain and some covered in pretty painted flowers. And then there were the platters, several of them, and all piled high with cookies and cake and crooked, steaming teapots here and there in between. The Mad Hatter's tea party. Stepping into the wide clearing, you saw no one around you as you made your way to the table. You did see a cake, though, a large 3-layered cake that was leaning a little too far to the left. And there in the pink and blue icing you saw something written. Goodbye.
Alice!
The sudden voice scared you, making you whirl around and find the Mad Hatter. She was a tall and thin woman and terribly pale, too, her skin almost being a paper white. Her hair was long and black, curls tangled down her back, and her eyes were a pale gray, wide and full. While her strange suit, black with red and white stripes, a purple dot tie, a red handkerchief, and worn-out black boots, topped off with a tall crooked hat, was certainly eye-catching. It was the Hatter's smile that really stood out to you. It was an unnerving grin, stretching from ear to ear as she stared at you.
"Oh, dear Alice, you came!"
she said in a soft, delighted voice. Before you could say a single word, the Hatter had taken your hand in hers, dragging you to the table and pulling out a bright pink chair. Forcing you to take a seat, Hatter quickly sat down next to you and held your hands tightly, so tight that it was nearly painful. Squeezing and smiling, the Hatter gazed at you like she was seeing the sunlight for the very first time. And didn't waste a breath or a single second either. The Hatter was giggling and grinning, refusing to let you go. What a strange fellow. But it was the Mad Hatter. Wasn't she supposed to be strange anyway? So you brushed off your worries, and she began to chatter cheerfully.
Welcome back to Wonderland. Oh, I'm so happy you've come to your goodbye party. It just wouldn't have been the same without you, dear.
You asked her how she could possibly throw a goodbye party when you'd only just arrived. Hatter laughed loudly, shaking her head as though you had said the silliest thing she had ever heard in her life. Her pale eyes seemed to glow brighter and more excited, gray eyes circled by thick black lashes.
Oh, of course, dear.
She paused, smiling at you once more.
The new you has only just gotten here, but the old you has gone away now. Don't you remember? It didn't work out with the old you, but don't you worry, dear. Things will be much, much, much better this time.
Had there been another Alice? You wondered. What hadn't worked out with them? The Hatter laughed once more, gripping your hand a little tighter.
Goodbye, old Alice. Hello, new Alice. Oh, how I hope you'll stay this time.
This time? A million questions were racing through your mind, each one more concerning than the next. Why were you the new Alice? And what happened to the old Alice? What was going to happen to you? A terrible feeling bubbled up in the pit of your stomach, twisting and turning inside as your heart began to race wildly. If your fear was obvious, the Hatter didn't pick up on it. In fact, she didn't seem to notice a single thing. Instead, she was cutting a thick slice of cake and setting it on one of the many colorful plates, babbling all the while about everything and nothing in utter nonsense. The glint of a knife caught your eye, making that horrible feeling grow a little more. Your nerves get the better of you as you suddenly blurt out that your name was certainly not Alice. You swallowed hard. The Hatter froze in place. It was only for a few seconds, but she seemed to stop moving, stop babbling, stop breathing even. You saw her smile fade away just a little bit. her grip on the sharp silver knife growing tighter and white-gloved hands becoming taut. Your fear only grew as the Hatter's smile grew wide once again, gray eyes flickering towards you quickly.
Well, of course, dear. I'm Jervis Carroll, but I'm also the Mad Hatter, too. You can be as many people as you like or as little as you don't like, if you prefer it all. You can be that preferred name, but you're Alice, too.
There was a certain tone when she said your true name, one of disgust and distaste. Was she angry? Her smile didn't seem to reach her pale eyes, which suddenly seemed to be much, much darker. It was no use, was it? After all, it was the Mad Hatter you're talking to. She was just plain crazy. And could a crazy person really be reasoned with? As though nothing at all had happened, Jervis was right back to babbling on about tea trays and cake and a mess of many things, leaving you more and more confused by the second.
And I told the March Hare.
Should you try to leave? Was there even a point in staying here? Jervis was only talking non-stop, going on and on about how happy she was that you'd returned to Wonderland. Did she sense your fear? Did she notice anything at all? She just kept going on and on about your return.
That you were going to come!
It made you think of the other Alice. The more you wondered what had happened to them, the worse this feeling grew. Something deep inside of you screamed out in terror, telling you to run or hide or do something.
And that everything would be different this time.
Should you stay? Jervis hadn't done anything but act strange, and well, she was the Mad Hatter. Perhaps her strangeness was simply to be expected. Perhaps the feel of the whole situation just had you paranoid.
Silly thing, refused to listen, but...
Was it normal, though? You were beginning to doubt everything around you, wondering if Jervis was out of touch even for a madwoman. It felt as though there was something lurking beneath that laughter and the kooky clothes, something dark and dangerous.
I was right, wasn't I?
Though she had done nothing yet, you wondered if the Mad Hatter was truly to be trusted. Her wide eyes, her nonsensical babbling, the fear twisting inside your belly. You thought about staying, wondering if she could still help you. You had chosen her after all. You thought about running far, far away from here.
Here!
It was all nearly too much to handle. Your attention was suddenly grabbed by Hatter's loud laughter, and you looked up, greeted by her wide smile and excited eyes.
Have some tea and cake, dear.
The Hatter set a plate piled with cake and a steaming teacup in front of you. Her pale eyes seemed to glow with excitement, unable to look away from you. Glancing down at the tea and cake, you wondered what you ought to do. Take the tea and cake, or refuse them and try to leave.